Well, congratulations, Max Verstappen, for the 4-time world championship. Congratulations, George Russell, for a beautiful race win. Congratulations, Lewis Hamilton as well, from P10 up to the podium in P2. But anyway, if you're interested in what my thoughts are and the full race analysis, definitely keep watching. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're going to start with George Russell and how he got this one done. Well, classic lights to flag victory, right? Stuff that we've been saying on this channel that Lando needs to be doing more often, given how many poles he's had. Like, just no fuss, get a good start, control the inside, control the middle, take the lead, only react to the strategy when you have to react. Like, don't do anything creative. Look after your tires out front. Let the pace work for you. When you're cutting something with a good knife, let the knife do the chopping. Yeah, that's what George did. He let the knife do the work today and managed to get a great win. So I think it was all really done yesterday with the call in qualifying. His call, by the way, that said, I want to be last over the line. I want to have the best track conditions. Don't put me out when I don't need to be out. Let's go for pole. Put me out absolutely last so I get the best of the track. So that's George's call. And in Spa, he was the one that said, no, I want to do a one-stop. Let me do this. Let me have it my way. And he went over to cross the line first in that race as well. So good quality from George to, take the race management into his hands, take the race into his hands and execute from the pole with the fastest car. It's kind of like a given now, like that the drivers could do this or should be doing this, or it's a skill, but like, I don't want to give Lando any more slack than we've already given him on this channel, but we've seen how easy it is to mess up with bad starts, bad tire management, bad strategy, bad racecraft, attack and defense, bad restarts, for example. So George wasn't tested in those areas of maybe red flags and restarts and so on, but he was tested in strategy and tire management and attack and defense and starts as well. So we just need to put that to one side and say, good job, George Russell. Okay, let's talk about P2, Lewis Hamilton. Well, I said, I think my Friday thumbnail was he's back or something like that. And I don't say that because he topped the sessions and just looking at the numbers. I was watching the attitude of the car, the way Lewis was driving, the lines he was taking into the corners, how like he was driving with a fire that seemed to be missing pretty much for the last couple of years. So that's good to see. And I thought, well, here it is, he's back. The spark has been ignited, and it looked like today he was driving with that same fire as well. So I've also had a look at his onboard from qualifying where he made the mistake through turn 2. I'm not making excuses. Sure, he absolutely messed up the quali and deserved to be P10, but it was unlucky. He was asking more of the car than what was capable, and he just really wanted pole. Like, he just wanted it so badly, too badly. He was over driving, over pushing. So through turn 3, I think it is, or 2, that fast right-hander leading onto the DRS, he just squirts the throttle a little too hard and the back steps out. It's unlucky. Like, I say unlucky, but it was very much on the limit of grip at the rear. Like, and the Mercedes has been amazing through that fast turn 3. I think it's turn 3, that fast turn 3 all weekend. So he just, he raised a little bit more and it didn't work out. So he ended up getting P10. What he should have done really in that situation is get a banker lap in, get something on the board that's going to put you P2, P3, P4. Look at the pace he had today, get something in the bank and then do something like that. Then raise the chips and go a little bit harder. Always have something to fall back on. So I think definitely mistake by Lewis, but I wanted to underline like the fire that he has going into this weekend, the pace that he had, he was looking sharp, and good drive by Lewis to come through into P2. He was thinking about one-stopping at one point. I was thinking the same, because from P10, when all those guys pit and get out of the way and they're back in traffic and you've got clean air in P2 or wherever he found himself in, stay there, mate. Like, I reckon I was thinking the same as Lewis, like, stay there, like, let them have all the traffic and all the dramas and potentially brush front wings and all the dirty air, and let them have all that garbage on the 2-stop. You've got the pace, just show it off now. That's all you got to do, is just flaunt it now up front and look after your tires and maybe do a 1-stop. So it must have been clear that a 1-stop was not the way to go. I want to look at the telemetry with you guys as well and see Was it possible to do a one stop, or how borderline was this? Because we only see the fastest laps, but I want to see the lap times. Were they getting slower? What was George doing? I still think it might have been possible. I'm surprised no one tried it. Even Max, you know, the Ferraris pitted first, the McLarens pitted first. It left Lewis and Max up front. I'm surprised they didn't stay out. So I want to check the deg on that medium, but good drive by Lewis. Let's get on to the big question. Should Ferrari have signed Lewis Hamilton? I'm pretty clear on this. I say yes, because like, you've got a 7-time world champion incoming, or who wants to come in, and you look at your two drivers and you say, well, here's Leclerc's performance, here's where he's at in the championship, here's what we know about him, and here's Carlos, here's where he's at, here's what we know about him. We want Lewis. Which one do we get rid of? Bang, you get rid of your worst one, which was Carlos, and you take Lewis. I don't see an issue with that, to be honest. We spoke about in qualifying now just having a full back lap. They've got their full back lap. If Lewis is past it and washed up and whatever, you got Charles. There's no loss. I see it as only possible gain. And what I've also said on this channel for a while is the Ferrari's good. I think the Ferrari is a good car. So these Ferrari boys, I think Lewis is going to take that car further than it should go, or it has been going lately. Let's put it that way. And what does he need to do when he gets to Ferrari? Well, I'm going to quote this twice in this video. He needs to take the race control and race management into his own hands. So why don't we touch on that now, by the way? So I'm referring to Ferrari's race operations when they called Carlos Sainz in and said box, or maybe whatever, he was coming in, and then said, no, stay out. So according to the rules, I think you deserve a penalty for that. But this is what I'm talking about, and I've covered it in this video. So, I've covered it in previous videos saying if Lewis goes to Ferrari, he needs to take race management and race strategy in his hands and the full responsibility for that. Because if you leave it up to these guys at Ferrari, the Chavis and those race engineers, like, forget it. Absolutely forget it, because, yeah, we've seen how clumsy they can be, right? You've got to be one step ahead, like what George is doing. So out of Charles and Lewis, here's going to be the differentiating factor. Who's going to be the one to take the strategy on their own and almost drag the team with them and let the team build them a good car, but you need to do most of the racing operations yourself? So is that going to be Charles that takes the Carlos Sainz approach, or is that going to be Lewis Hamilton? Because they've both got the speed. I think Lewis has less mistakes in him than Charles, but both of them are probably guilty of trusting their team and their race strategy department way too much. I think whoever can get on top of that first, whoever can say, no, this is how I want to run the race, and this is the way I will be running the race, that will be the driver who comes out on top. Exactly that sort of thing. Even with Carlos today, he was like, box me, man, I'm dying here. Like, we're going to lose these spots one way on track, or we're going to lose them the other way on strategy. Let's go the other way and take the chance. Like, let's pit early and see if we can just save this race somehow. Anyway, so they didn't listen to him, and I guess forced that potential penalty coming his way for entering the pits and then exiting as well. So I said that, if Lewis goes to Ferrari, that's what he needs to do. And I stand by that. And I said, yeah, it's good for Ferrari to have a 7-time world champion, because the car's good. They could do with Hamilton to take it further for no loss, really. I don't say that with disrespect to Carlos. He's a good driver. He's won great races. What he did in Melbourne was fantastic, outstanding. But then, like Brazil, you look a few races ago, he's in the wall, and Singapore quali, he's in the wall, and it's different levels to this, you know. There's good and there's great. So I'd be taking Lewis. Why not? What else do we need to talk about? The 4-time world champion, Max Verstappen. Great drive again. And this is the theme of this season. He's maximized his results all year long. If the car's P5, he'll take P5. If the car's P1, he'll take P1. If the car's P4, he'll take P4. I think the only time he didn't, personally, and I stand by it, was Mexico. I think the penalties that he copped for what he did in Mexico cost him points. They cost him positions. He dropped back behind both Mercedes, which he wouldn't have ordinarily, and that cost him points. I'm not talking about whether Lando could have won and what it did for Lando's race, and would he have caught and passed Carlos? I don't know if he would have caught and passed Carlos. Who knows? Max cost himself 10 points. That's a fact. So I think Mexico was the only time we saw that this year. Whereas if you look at Norris and McLaren, I mean, they cost themselves points all over the place. They cost themselves points in Silverstone with the strategy. They cost themselves points in Hungary with the starts, Austin with the starts, Spain with the starts, Netherlands nearly with the starts, the Brazil with that restart, drama, lockups, strategy. I mean, they've cost themselves points left, right, and center. So race operations haven't maximized what they have in front of them. We always say on this channel, genetics deals the cards, and that's Lando's talent and the quick McLaren, but environment is what's going to play the hand. And those guys on the pit wall at McLaren aren't playing the hand very well at all. So I guess, yeah, kudos to Max. Congrats on your 4th World Championship. Well deserved. And he just, like I said, he just maximized all of the opportunities. So that's all we can really say without doing a full shebang race season analysis. On lap 5, Charles started attacking Max, I believe, around the outside into turn 1. And I'm here thinking, no, mate, what are you doing? Don't attack around the outside. Max has just done an interview with Andrew Benson saying, no one's going to pass me around the outside. We'll crash before that happens. I'll get a penalty before that happens. But you are not going to physically come around me around the outside, particularly in a long corner, which turn 1 is. It's a long corner of increasing radius. To drive around the outside of Max Verstappen there is ambitious. So I would say to Charles, what are you doing, mate? Why are you attacking around the outside? You look silly. It's costing you lap time. It's costing you tyre life. Next minute, Carlos was behind starting to attack Charles, like silly from Charles. So my kind of advice or coaching of that would be, if you're not going to attack around up the inside, don't do it, mate. Just sit behind and wait for your opportunity when you can go for the inside. So I just thought I'd call that out as being not the best racecraft from Charles. Again, I'm going to reference the Ferrari video where I'd seen this a few times, where Charles doesn't have the best racecraft. I'll put a link to that video in the description below because I think it's relevant here with how Hamilton's gone and what the Ferraris are doing and so on. Anyway, Charles pits on lap 10 with Lando Norris, and this is where I think it was early. My racing instinct and racing IQ tells me that it was too early. They came out in a bunch of traffic, not to mention. So they got to deal with the traffic, plus they got work to do on the strategy. The guys at the front are off the hook. I don't know, it just didn't look right. So what I want to do is use the telemetry to check this live with you guys and verify. Was it too early? Were those tires degrading, or what was going on there? So let's jump over to the telemetry now. Alrighty, hopefully you can see that on the screen in front of you. So if the data's in, we got Russell and Sainz. Why not? Let's take them. So this is interesting. George Russell in Aqua, we can see the first stint characterized by the yellow dots. He's going quicker, and he's out in front, mind you. So he's going quicker. He's hanging out. So what do we got? So I'm just looking at the shape of the line, by the way. So it's coming down, which means he's going quicker, which means he's not suffering tire wear issues. Really interesting to look at Carlos as though he was suffering badly. So this is the difference in the strategies. For Hamilton, I stand by what I say. I think he could have one-stopped. So what I'm looking at here is George is getting quicker. He's on the medium. And then there's a point at which it flatlines a bit. So he does a 38.1, 38.3, 38.4, 38.3, 38.7, 38.6, 38.6. This all looks healthy to me. Like, it's not like we need to pit, we need to change and to stop. I don't see it like that at all. Whereas with Carlos, let me read these out to you. 38.3, 38.7, 39.0. This is dramas, right? 39.5. And the last one, a 40.5. Like, I don't know what's going on there, like if it's traffic or whatever, but the shape of this curve tells me that his tires are cooked. So the Ferrari was chewing its tires, probably the right-hand side, the right front and the right rear. But with Mercedes, I don't see an issue here. Now, when they jumped onto the hard compound tire, it's interesting to see, and just looking at the shape of Carlos's race lap chart here, it comes down, so he's getting quick up, but then it starts to come up again. And this is what Carlos is feeling is here, this 37.4, 37.9, 37.9, and 38.3. He's struggling to hang on at this point. So Absolutely. He needs to two-stop. He's calling out to the guys saying, bring me in, mates. Anyway, this is when the dramas happened, when, yes, come in, don't come in, whatever. Meanwhile, George can maintain this. This is a flat line here. He's hanging out here, 37 fours, 37 6, 37 8, 37 5. Like he's got pace to play with. This car's beautiful. Hamilton could have one stopped. Just before, we don't even need to look at his we can see the Mercedes is sweet. All good on that front. So I just wanted to check that off and say, did Carlos need to pit? Did George need to pit? What about Max? I'd love to have Max's results here. Did he have to pit? But you got to remember Max was in all sorts of traffic as well. So maybe I'll leave it in the comments section once I know. But yeah, so Ferrari struggled, George. So I'm on the right track here. Like it was, some of these guys could have one stopped. Definitely think and still believe that to be true. Okay, let's talk about Franco's race. I mean, what can I say that I haven't already said? I mean, you guys know how I feel about this. I think he's a talented driver who is not in the best company. And by that, I mean, doesn't have the right support, doesn't have the right nurturing from his team personnel, coaches and mentors and management group. You know, you could look at team principals, his personal driver coach, the lady representing his management team. I think they need to give more support to Franco. He's a young boy who's potentially getting distracted a lot as well. And that car was like, both those cars could have got points this weekend. Instead, they got nothing. One of them in the wall in quali, one of them retired in the race, and the other one outside of the points. Like, not a good result. So I will say this in Spanish and then I think we will wrap up. Hola a todos, ojalá que estés bien. Tenemos que hablar sobre Franquito y decir lo que pasó y decir por qué y qué necesito hacer y todo eso. Siempre estoy pensando y yo dije que Franco necesita un buen equipo personal para nurture, no sé cómo decir, nurture este talento. ¿Me entiendes? La gente que tienen en su equipo, como el jefe de Williams, el jefe de su administración, Bullet Sports Management, su enseñador que tiene en este momento, todas esas tres personas no están haciendo su trabajo, en mi opinión, que necesitan hacer para proteger a Franquito mentalmente. Franquito es muy como... Tiene distracciones, eventos de distracciones cuando está entrando la pista por la primera vez. Siempre las personas quieren tomar fotitos y formar banderas o algo. Y si yo estaría el enseñador de Franquito, me voy a decir, Franco, ven aquí, tenemos que trabajar, ¿no? En serio. Tenemos que hacer una fin de semana sin errores, sin distracciones. Y eso es que Franco no tiene en este momento. Entonces yo quería decir eso y muestra a ustedes que ese es el problema, en serio. Y Franco no tiene el focus muy recto, muy claro, muy rectamente en ganar, en serio, en hacer buenas carreras, en hacer buenas vueltas. Entonces, sí, por eso estoy aquí, para ayudar. Si me necesita, claro, me voy a ayudar, pero ellos necesitan llamarme y mándenme un correo y hablamos allí. Gracias por escuchar este video. Por favor, mándeme una comenta o pregunta debajo y en español, suscríbete a este canal también y nos vemos en la próxima carrera. That's all for this video, guys. Leave me a thought or question in the comment section below. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. All these things help to boost the channel forward, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.